Hey guys, it's Dean. When Breath of the Wild released back in 2017, I'm not sure we all expected it to be the outstanding success that it is today. Nintendo's Switch was following up a failed Wii U, and the previous mainline Zelda game, Skyward Sword, was as divisive as a Zelda game could possibly get. If you told me I'd be sitting here with the Switch having sold around 125 million units, and Zelda Breath of the Wild being placed comfortably on around 30 million of those units, well, I'd probably believe you because I'm a Nintendo fanboy, and think the Wii U was amazing, but others might have thought you were insane. I do, however, find it incredible that Zelda outsold Mario Odyssey, considering it's usually the opposite, and Mario Odyssey was phenomenal. That, more than anything else, should magnify how groundbreaking Breath of the Wild was. Ruling out all of the millions of casual Zelda fans that enjoyed it for its revolutionary open-world experience, the mainstay hardcore Zelda fans of the past 2 decades plus began making a statement I'd never heard before, and thought I'd never hear. Breath of the Wild is better than Ocarina of Time. And I totally understand the sentiment, and I agree with it. But I'm not a hardcore Zelda fan. While I've played a vast majority of the games, there are a few that I've missed, and even more that I didn't play until well into adulthood. Yet despite that, when I played Breath of the Wild 6 years ago, I was sucked into the game. I found myself veering off into different directions and getting distracted from my objectives in ways that I'd never experienced before in gaming. I put more hours into Breath of the Wild than I have in any other game in my adult life. And after I was comfortable with the amount of shrines I accomplished, plots of land I explored, and side quests I enjoyed, I made my way to Hyrule Castle and beat the game, and I stopped playing. And I have not gone back to the game since. I guess I just haven't had a chance to. Busy life and all that. In any case, while I expected I'd replay Breath of the Wild before getting into Tears of the Kingdom, I'm glad I didn't, because it allowed me to look at Tears of the Kingdom as a holistically new experience rather than something I'd frequently compare and overlap with Breath of the Wild. I guess this is the part where I warn you of potential spoilers. I'm doing my best to not discuss things that aren't necessary to discuss. I have a significantly larger Tears of the Kingdom video I'm working on, that should be releasing too, and in that video I plan on going into much deeper detail of my whole experience with the game. But for now, I thought I'd just hit some key and spoiler-free points. Well, as spoiler-free as possible. So here's the thing. This game is very similar to Breath of the Wild. So similar that it makes me wonder if the folks out there that are releasing their "is this still good 6 years later" retrospectives are going to enjoy it or use it as fuel to claim that it's not that good of a game. There are a few major changes that I'll try to go over in this video, or maybe my next one, but it's fundamentally the same game. So if you just played Breath of the Wild and you're burnt out, you might not enjoy it as much. But if you're like me, and most other people in the world that absolutely loved Breath of the Wild and just wanted more of it, then you're in for a great time and should know what to expect. And while there are varying differences in the gameplay, there is one main gimmick that ultimately freshens up this entire experience and will make it stick out for a long time. The Ultra Hand is probably the best natural addition to a moveset in a mainline Nintendo game since Mario's hat was possessed by Cappy. I was skeptical at first, but I can't begin to explain how OP this ability is. You can basically grab any loose object and attach it to anything else. The possibilities are almost endless, and I can't wait to look back at this game in the future when fanatics that are more creative than I could ever be ultimately create the wildest of concoctions and accomplish the strangest things in the most extreme ways. The Ultra Hand is such a useful and properly utilized tool that you can tell they basically built the whole game around it. Anytime I needed to solve a puzzle or figure out how to get to a different location, my immediate instinct is to operate the Ultra Hand, almost to a fault. The other power-ups include ascending to a platform directly above you, fusing various items with your weapons to make them stronger or give them special abilities, rewinding the path or movement of an object in motion, amongst other things. There were numerous instances where I'd spend so much time trying to complete a challenge by building a plank with pillars before realizing it was as easy to complete as using the Ascension power-up, just because I was so used to the Ultra Hand with how useful it is. The only exception was in the first area of the game, where I genuinely felt like the use of the powers was balanced and it taught you how to use everything you needed to use before sending you down to Hyrule. Those first 3-ish hours of the game actually had me expect that it was going to be much different than Breath of the Wild. In fact, directly from my notes after playing the first area, I wrote that Tears of the Kingdom is more streamlined in that the challenges are much more in your face and the game is more interested in guiding you towards the completion of specific challenges than Breath of the Wild was. After leaving that initial area in the sky, I quickly realized it wasn't the case at all. This game is most definitely the same as Breath of the Wild. And by that, I mean it's still a giant and large open world where the challenge is on you to set your own path and figure out how to reach varying areas and deciding what side quests, distractions, shrines, and towers you want to take your focus away during any given moment. Which, again, I loved, and I imagine many of you will too. In fact, I progressed through this game basically the exact same way I did in Breath of the Wild. Once you eventually reach the point where the game gets truly open world, I think that's about like 5 hours in, you'll be given 4 key points on the map you have to visit. Pick one, make your way over there, follow the objectives and find and defeat the dungeon, gain random powers and story details, rinse and repeat. The fun is figuring out how you want to get to those locations. I thought I'd spend most of my time building a random vehicle, but honestly I preferred climbing random walls and beelining my way through most of the game just as I did in the Breath of the Wild. As I came across more shrines, I started to teleport more often, and as I uncovered more towers, I found myself using those to traverse new areas of the map. The towers in this game are similar to Breath of the Wild in that they uncover a lot of the map, but this time you don't have to climb all the way to the top if you want to get up there. You stand at the base and it flings you way up into the sky, and then you can use a combination of your free fall and your parachute to cover as much of your journey towards your objective. This obviously causes you to miss a lot of the game, whether it's horses, stables, caves, random MacGuffins, or goodies. But the beauty of the way this game plays is you can decide how much effort you want to put into it. Just like in its predecessor, someone could beat this game between 40 hours and 300 hours and still feel fulfilled. It's one of the reasons all the different types of gamers can enjoy this game. There is no pressure on you to push yourself too hard, and likewise, there's a virtually endless amount of content for you to lay your hands on if that's how you choose to play. There is a certain aspect of this game that involves the sky, but it's not nearly as important to the gameplay as the trailers led us to think. I don't really want to get too much into detail about it because it might hit spoiler territory, but from a gameplay perspective, the sky aspect of the game is mostly just random areas up above that you can search in addition to the land down below. Everything else is pretty run-of-the-mill and similar enough to Breath of the Wild that it's not really worth going over in detail. Cooking, riding horses, weapons, and battle, the story, which I'm intentionally avoiding discussing for spoiler purposes, the music and visuals are a delight, the performance was solid as far as I could tell, but even then I'm pretty sure they'll patch whatever issues do exist. Ultimately, I love the whole experience. If I'm looking at it objectively, I could criticize the fact that it is too similar to Breath of the Wild, but that doesn't bother me at all, subjectively speaking. And I'm sure there will be prominent professional review sites that do make that criticism, but I'm neither prominent nor a professional reviewer. There wasn't a moment that I felt the game was dragged. There wasn't a moment that I wished something played out differently. Heck, there were numerous puzzles that unexpectedly broke me, and when I solved them, I had that good old nostalgic sense of frustration relief that I thought you could only find in an unfair game from the 90s. It might be the recency bias talking, but I'm pretty sure I enjoyed this game more than Breath of the Wild. I can't say for certain why because I haven't played that game since 2017, but at the moment, I feel like this game made a great game even better. If you loved Breath of the Wild, you'll love this game. And if you didn't enjoy Breath of the Wild, well, are you even a Zelda fan? I like linear games as much as the next person. 2D platformers are basically my favorite genre of video games, but even I can see that Breath of the Wild and now Tears of the Kingdom have found a way to balance difficulty and progression with non-linearity, something that was once thought unheard of in Zelda, and arguably in gaming. And don't hit me with the fact that the NES Zelda game did it first. That game is torture and you know it. That's all I really have to say regarding Zelda for now. If you're a regular on this channel and you've stuck around this long, you're probably wondering where the heck I've been for the past 6 months. And well, I've been busy. Life hit me harder than I thought it would, but thankfully I've had time to steer my focus back on my channel. I'm still working on my Sonic retrospective in reverse and editing a few of those videos. Lots of progress has been made and you should expect my Sonic Forces video fairly soon. I'm mostly going to release a longer Tears of the Kingdom video going through my full experience of that before Sonic. That video will have all the spoilers and talking points with no reservations. So if you're interested in hearing more about Tears of the Kingdom, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and maybe even hit that notification bell to be kept in the loop. I'm on a mission to hit my first 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. It seems like it's taking me ages just to get to 500. Every little bit helps with that algorithm though. Either way, as always, thanks for watching. Dean, out.